Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I got to tell you, I was in Montreal for the weekend. I got home and watched
hmm
that game last night, and I had like nightmares. I had
hmm
disquiet sleep as a result of that. And it's not just that the quarterback was knocked out of the game and has a thumb injury, and we know that's a serious thing. But, God, I mean, you got to protect the football. No matter what, you got to protect the football. And I'm not blaming I'm not trying to blame Tyson Bagent, but you gotta protect the football. And a couple of turnovers there, including a fumble, a strip sack, and a touchdown off it. It just buried you against the team that had a world of problems themselves.
hmm Yeah, not a very good football team, and we're right back to where we were when we played the Chiefs and went against Steve Spagnuolo. Right, and Steve Spagnuolo has an attacking defense, the defensive coordinator for Kansas City Chiefs. Here comes Brian Flores, right, and you pull that tape up from the Chiefs, and you try to figure out, well, how is this guy going to attack us? And you go to the first play of the game, and the Chicago Bears are an empty left. They got three wide receivers to the left, nobody in the backfield, two to the right. DJ Moore is in the slot, Mully. And you got a defense that likes to blitz you. The ball, if you're the quarterback, I'm sure Coach Getsy was coaching it all week. Now, why would Getsy put him in empty? By him, I mean Justin Fields
Right.
to start the game. I don't know. But DJ Moore has Harrison Smith over him. Harrison Smith, great football player, but he is in his 12th year. He is giving 9 yards of cushion, and DJ Moore is open. And here's what I got to tell you guys. If I am Ryan Poles this morning, I got Getsy and Justin Fields in my office, and I'm asking them, what happened on this play? Why I try to figure out if I'm going to keep one guy or the other. Why I try to figure out whether it's the chicken or the egg. I got to ask them in front of both of those guys with the film on in my office, what happened on this specific play? Now, Coach Getsy, why are you in empty against Brian Flores? I got to have these guys answer these questions. I got to know why Justin Fields doesn't throw the ball to my best receiver, a guy I traded for in the offseason, a guy who was just NFC Offensive Player of the Week, is open on the first play of the game. You know one of them is unblocked. You know you don't have enough blockers. Why aren't you throwing the ball? Getsy, why are you in empty? What was the plan? There has to be a lot of questions there at Hallis Hall this morning. And the great thing if you're the general manager is you don't have to know a whole lot. All you got to know is this empty protection on first down. The ball's got to come out, and you got to ask them the questions of why it did not come out on that play. What was the confusion?
Keeping with that, Olin, one target in the first half for DJ Moore after coming off the week that he had. I would want to continue that conversation by asking Luke Getsy about the next series and then the series after that. At some point in time, it would be nice to watch a Bears football game, to watch their offense and to conclude that they are getting the better of the coaching matchup, that they're not being overmatched and outclassed and outcoached. Because yesterday, as you alluded to, that first play was a precursor of the bad things to come, and that followed. I just don't know why you come off of 2 straight games. You averaged 34 points a game in your previous 2 games, and how does the offense look as bad as it did in the first half? Why did they not adjust quicker? I don't know. Can you help us understand what might be a plausible explanation for that?
Yeah, styles make fights, right? In anything you do. So when you go in those tight formations, by tight, I mean you have tight ends in, you play action, you drop them back in the pocket. They had a lot of miscommunication yesterday, but your quarterback is very capable. Now let's talk about the second play of the game, where they spread the formation and they run a zone read. By that, I mean they fake the running back, not fake, but he has a choice. He can hand it to the running back on an inside zone, right behind the center, or he can keep the ball around the edge. Justin Fields, you spread the formation, he keeps the ball around the edge, he gains 13 yards. The next play on third down, he checks to a quarterback draw and he gets the first down, David. Like, he's showing you the things he can do against this team. I got to ask again in the office, Coach Getsy, why don't we come back to this? Why aren't we running any more zone reads? Why do you keep sticking my quarterback in the pocket behind max protection when I lost my right guard? And you can tell that my young offensive line is struggling to communicate their protection calls. I got 2 running backs, right, who Deontay Foreman's been here, but he hasn't played much. I got Darrington Evans, who hasn't been here much. But you keep making them have to communicate with the offensive line with who they got. I just have to ask these questions. Now, that doesn't leave Justin Fields with no blame. That's what I'm saying. You got to go through this film. Has a lot of answers, guys, on this film. You have to go through it with a magnifying glass, and you have to figure out the answers to every question, because I got to be honest with you. Getsy's plan is not bad if you have Aaron Rodgers, right? Guys are open. Cole Kmet. I thought Cole Kmet would lead the game. If the Bears win this game, Cole Kmet leads the game with 10-plus catches. Why? They are blitzing you. Get the ball out to your big targets, right? Like you said with DJ Moore. Look, Bayesian came in, forced it to him over the seam. What a catch by DJ Moore. What a tough football player, man. He took that hit. He went on the sideline. I'm sure they gave him concussion protocol. He's back in the game, right? Like you're talking about. Sometimes they're on the goal line. It's trips. DJ Moore's one-on-one with Byron Murphy. I got to ask, Justin, why don't you give him a chance here? What was the read? What was your progression? Because I got to be honest with you. When we motion our tight end out, and if they show you it's man, you are not even looking at DJ Moore. I got to have him answer the tough questions in the office, all of them.
And I thought Flusy, the defensive coordinator, did pretty well for himself. But the first play of the game, they're lined up. It's a neutral zone infraction with Billings. And, you know, that just is mind-boggling for a guy that puts together the hits principle. These little errors to start the game. And, I mean, it's a big deal when the quarterback doesn't see the unblocked rusher. Both the first offensive play and the first defensive play sort of underscore this details that he talks about. We got to get the details right. They messed up on so many details. It was very frustrating.
Yeah, they also had a false start. And again, like you're talking about, Mully, the game is kind of littered with those kind of mistakes, with just little blocking mistakes, preparation mistakes, right? And was on the post-game show with Lawrence Holmes yesterday, since you and Manley must have had the day off I didn't hear about. But anyway, I had to show up to work. Everybody else is in Montreal and London having the time of their life. But anyway, I'll work. You guys relax. Listen. That was, Lawrence said, how would they handle winning? And I thought to myself, man, I hope they didn't enjoy 5 of the 10 days. You know what I mean? Right. I hope they enjoyed 1 or 2 days and went right back to work and told themselves we're still 1-4. I'll tell you a comment that Robert Smith made in the game that made me take a little bit of a pause. He said, when talking to Justin Fields, he doesn't like to be bombarded with what if this happens and what if they line up in this and what if they line up in that. Well, when you play a team like the Vikings, on the first play of the game, you better be going through the what ifs, right? Or like if you're in the red zone, you say we're going to run this play on 3rd and 2. What if? How do I help my line direct this protection? Because the line on some of those plays where they had the takeaways, they weren't organized enough. They were making late calls. They weren't getting guys on the guys they're supposed to get on. Now, Nate Davis goes out early. That's a big loss for this offensive line, right? He's kind of a steady veteran presence in there, along with Cody, who gets benched yesterday for his snaps. Just a lot going on in that game, man. And a lot, if the Chicago Bears, if Hallis Hall is willing to look at it with clear eyes and be honest with themselves, there's a lot of answers in these first games that they just played, especially in the Chiefs, especially in this Minnesota game. I'm going through, guys, to be honest with you, if I'm in that building, I am poring over these last 4 games because I don't care what anybody says to me, right? If I'm in charge, I don't care what comes out of your mouth. I care what you put on film, right? And I'm asking you, when we run this quarterback toss crack, why doesn't the receiver know it's called quarterback toss crack, right? It's called crack. Why isn't anybody cracking the end, right? It's pretty simple. I called quarterback toss crack in the huddle. Why aren't you cracking the end?
Olin, when you look at these problems with the shotgun snaps, and obviously Cody Whitehair came out of the game, Lucas Patrick went into it. Matt Eberflus said it wasn't because of the struggles with the shotgun snaps. Nobody believed him. How difficult is that for a center to execute? And why do you think the Bears continue to struggle, whether the center was Whitehair or Lucas Patrick?
Yeah, first of all, to the snaps, it's kind of like your golf swing, man. Like when it goes awry, you don't know. You're trying to do it the exact same way. You want to internally rotate your shoulder. You want to turn your arm into a lever, and you want to make it repeatable, right? But obviously, there's things you got to do, right? You got to step to your left, you got to step to your right, you got to throw your hands on the nose guard. Cody is struggling with that. There's no excuse for it. When I snap the ball over guys' heads, you just take the blame and you got to go back to work. You got to go back to practice. It's one of the worst feelings in the world when you're letting down your teammates like that. When you're putting the ball low and the quarterback can't read the defense and everyone's telling you, you got to fix those snaps, the snaps low, the snaps high. And trust me, when you come to the sideline, your O-line coach is saying it, the quarterback coach is saying it, the head coach is saying it. So Cody went through a lot yesterday, and he's got to get it fixed, right? The center's got to get it fixed. Now, to the fact of even Lucas Patrick had a few of them, right? When you're in the game and you work with quarterbacks and all of a sudden the tempo and the rhythm of the snap count changes because it keeps changing, and Bayesian probably, his first game, even though it looked like he was handling the operation well, I thought for a young quarterback out of Shepherd College, I don't even know where Shepherd College is. I don't even know who they played yesterday, right? I don't even heard of them. And here's this young guy now at Soldier Field in the third quarter, and he's running the Chicago Bears offense. So I'm sure his rhythm was off a little bit, changing the snap count, trying to recognize blitzes. This is what Brian Flores does to you. These things are hard to deal with. All of that being said, David, like I know, I played the position for 14 years. None of that matters. Get the ball to the quarterback hands so he can look at the defense, and let's execute.
This segment with Olin Kreutz is sponsored by Plumbers 911. Plumbing emergency, call the plumbing professionals available 24/7 at 1-833-PLUM-911. Olin, I heard a little bit of you and Lawrence on the post game as I was driving in from the airport. And
what were you drinking?
No, I had just landed. I was trying to sober up from the weekend.
Okay.
And before I watched the game, and I guess Grody told you guys on the pregame that they weren't doing a lot of snapping, a lot of practice snapping.
Mm-hmm.
I heard you talk about how 3 administrations have tried to move Cody Whitehair to center, and they've all kind of moved back. So, I mean, I get it. He's probably a better guard than a center. I don't know the obsession with it, but I was stunned at the idea that they're not practicing the snap kind of 24/7, right? I mean, and especially if Justin Fields is too busy to do something after practice, why not have the backup quarterback there? And then maybe you're not – and listen, they took the guy out because he couldn't snap the ball back. It had nothing to do with Lucas Patrick, whatever the answer the coach gave was absurd. But was that surprise? You seem pretty surprised that they weren't working on that.
I was surprised, but Grody said that Cody had stopped snapping. He had said that he had stopped snapping for a couple of weeks, which if you're the backup center, I find that pretty unbelievable. So I'm pretty sure something just got miscommunicated in the conversation. So that took me aback for a little bit. I was like, well, if you're the backup center, we have when we go out to practice, before practice, you have center quarterback exchange, right? Where you're working on your snaps and you're working, and when you're a center, if you struggle with the snap count, so you got to create the intensity in that drill, have somebody put the bag, really close to you. So you got to get your hand up after you snap the ball, have the guy step into you. Just practice your blocks that you struggle with on certain snaps. Most centers have a very specific block that they struggle with the snap. Say they have a back block or they got to get their hand up quickly. That's when they struggle snapping the ball. So you got to find those times the center struggles snapping the ball. I'm sure they have coaches looking at that and saying, Cody, this is when you struggle snapping the ball. Let's recreate this situation here in this drill with the quarterback. What you heard from me in the pregame show was when Grody said that Cody Whitehair said that he had stopped snapping. I found that unbelievable. I'm sure, Mully, I'm sure that was wrong. I'm sure the information came out wrong somehow. At least I hope so, because you should be working. You're one snap away from being the center, right? If you're the backup center on game day with the guys they have dressed, Cody would go in and say, maybe Feeney maybe he was taking all the snaps. I don't know. But if he was, then he should be in there at center.
Olin, now that we're looking ahead now till next Sunday, we know that Justin Fields reportedly has a dislocated thumb on his throwing hand. We know that injury will be probably we're not going to get the clear picture of it maybe up until kickoff, but what kind of cues are you looking for? What kind of things can we expect based on your experience? And how tricky would it be to expect a quarterback with a dislocated thumb to come back next Sunday or even, relatively early or soon and still play at a high level?
Yeah, and the thing about Justin Fields, man, when you go through that film, as I'm sure you guys have, I mean, the first 10 to 15 plays, the man got hit 8 or 9 times, right? And some of that was his fault, right? And when I say hit, I mean he was running the ball or he was standing in the pocket and getting hit. So he got hit over and over again in this game, whether it was game plan, whether it was him, whether it was the offensive line. So I'm sure he's pretty beat up this morning. Like you're saying, he has a dislocated thumb. It's a great question for the quarterbacks you guys have on air. I don't know about throwing the ball with a dislocated thumb. It seems hard to me, right? But there were some things I played through as a center that would probably seem impossible to some people. So I don't really know how hard it is to go out there with a dislocated thumb and try to throw the ball with the way he just played, with Max Crosby coming to town. I don't know. I don't know how he would go out there and execute the game plan. I don't know how bad the thumb is. I don't know if he just popped it back in. I don't know if there's a ligament tear. Obviously, the x-rays are negative, but as you guys know, the first thing you think about is, man, I wonder how the ligaments are in his hand, in his wrist. This is his throwing hand. I would imagine it would be hard, David, but I'll tell you this. I've seen crazier things.
Olin, Big Z's 10 thoughts are up at Tribune.com, and he does a great job of picking apart the game. His second thought is 6.1. That's how long Fields held the ball on the play in which he was hurt. And so we're talking about this. As an offensive lineman, I understand that he can shake off guys, he can get away, but it's supposed to be literally like 2.7 seconds, right? Like you say 3 seconds, put your heel on the ground, throw the ball. But 6.1, I don't know how he doesn't get hit.
Right. And they showed an 8-man blitz and dropped 8 in the coverage, right? So they confused him there. Like we just talked about, he's been hit all day. But, Mully, to your point, when 3 guys are coming as an offensive line, we know that the quarterbacks can hold the ball a little bit longer because someone's got to get open, right? With all the guys they have in coverage, 8 guys in coverage. As an offensive line, the coach always tells us, we get our double teams. Darrington Evans was chipping, I think, on that play. So was Cole Kmet. So they had 7 guys blocking. Flores makes a nice call there. Justin has to sit in the pocket a little while longer. I would say just dump the ball to your running back and your tight end there. Let them try to make the 7. I think it was 37. Let them make the 7 yards up for you because nobody's open down the field. Obviously, they dropped in the coverage. But to your point, that was just going on a lot in this game where it looked like, man, just hit your outlets. When you would think coming into this game, they must have talked to him a lot about, I don't know, right? That's why I'm trying to tell you guys, like Ryan posed, like if you're going to make a decision on Justin Fields, you have a big job this morning trying to collect all the information, even on that play, Mully, right?
Yeah.
Why aren't you pause? Why aren't you throwing it to your running back here? Why don't you explain that to me?
Oh, Olin, quickly, what is your assessment of Tyson Bagent and what are reasonable expectations?
I thought he operated well out there, and I think he gets the ball out fast. Reasonable expectations is this guy's got to get a lot better. And what happened yesterday, right? Like when he threw that late interception, he kind of moved out of the pocket and he gets hit by the left tackle's man.
Did that impact the length of the throw? I mean, they called it a duck, but it looked like he had no follow
he got hit
on it. Yeah.
He got hit, and Borum is trying to execute what they call a trap, where you pull the D lineman down real fast, so he's bull rushing you. He gets pushed back a little too much, but Tyson Bagent does step up into the pocket off the line, and he's over there to the left by the left tackle. So a lot of blame to go around there.
Great stuff, Olin. Thank you. Great
Thanks,
catching
Olin.
up with
Appreciate
you.
it, guys.